Varsågod. Hi and welcome everyone. My name is Karen Faxe and I'm an intern with the Africa Groups of Sweden. And I'm very pleased to introduce you all to Mary Sakala, who is our guest during the Food Sovereignty Week. And this is an initiative that we on Africa Groups of Sweden has created together with a handful of other organizations like Nordbruk, Latinamerikagrupperna, VIA, Lekanksina, and a few others. And it's going on right now between the 12th and the 20th of November. And we have seminars and panels and things all over Sweden. And we're very pleased to be here in Gävle today. And let me just tell you very quickly that Africa Groups of Sweden is a solidarity organization within groups in the 1970s. And we have different local activist groups all over the country. And one of them is here in Gävle. Without further ado, I'll give the stage to Mary.
Yes, once more, my name is Mary Sakala, a small-scale farmer from Zambia. I'm a member of the Rural Women's Assembly, which is in 8 countries, SADC countries. And I'm also a board member at the country chapter in Zambia. I'm glad to be here. I've never seen snow. I've only seen it on the TVs, so it's good to see it physically. Though the snow greeted me by falling on the first day. It was saying, welcome to Sweden. Okay. Since this week is a Seed and Food Sovereignty Week, I'm going to talk of the same. Our aim as Rural Women's Assembly is to fight for food and land rights of women. So usually we have campaigns on the seed sovereignty and food sovereignty. Seed security and sovereignty is one of the key issues that can make us zero hunger globally. It is not a system that is in Europe that can be used in Africa to zero hunger. Currently, if we talk of seed sovereignty, we are talking of having a right to the type of seed you want to plant and how you want, the type of seed you want to plant and how you want to plant it. If we talk of food security, we are talking of having enough food, enough nutritious food the whole year. That is the definition of farmers in Zambia. Having enough nutritious food the whole year. Now, as we can see on the global food system, it is always dominated by multi-corporates that say it is only chemical fertilizer and the hybrids that can zero hunger in this world, which is wrong. As farmers, we are campaigning against that so that we are seed sovereign. We have lots of seed, especially in Africa, that can bring food on the table. But those seeds are not regarded as seed. The seeds that are regarded as seeds are those which are patented. And yet those seeds which are patented are being grabbed from us small-scale farmers. They come, get knowledge, do a research. I think Africans know that research in Africa is free. When someone comes, you just mobilize you, make a group, get knowledge from you free, get the seed from you free. Then he takes it, develop it in such a manner that you want to recycle it again, so that you are always under their control. You plant it this year, next year you go back to the shop, buy another seed, you plant it. Now, if you can relate that to the current climatic situation. There is total climate change. You buy this seed this year, you plant it, and you are attacked by the drought, or the crop is gone. What will happen next year? Farmers have become dependency. Farmers have become poorer than ever. That's why, as Rural Women's Assembly, we are saying women are the custodians of seed. Let these women who still have the seed share the seed. We want to be sovereign, because whatever we have, the seed we have will put our food on the table. That is one of the campaigns that we have. Seed sovereignty is our right. No one should grab seeds from us. No one should breed those seeds and put boundaries. You know, I'm not supposed to talk about some other multinationals, but I'll give you an example of Monsanto, who has been putting people behind bars. Monsanto, who has been producing GMOs. We need the science that will not affect people. We need the science that will not kill people. Because the food we need the healthy food. We need healthy people. If you get seed from us, then you put some different genes that will affect people. That is not food security. Food security is having enough and nutrition. Nutrition will build a healthy person. That is our role as a Rural Women's Assembly. And we are saying, all those who think can provide food globally have a different agenda altogether. When they come with that agenda, they are able to control all the countries, because money is strength. And someone yesterday was saying, food is a weapon. If you are hungry, anyone can come with that weapon. You have to dance to his tune. We are no longer, let me say, seed enough to follow those issues. We are now aware of our rights. We are saying, let's be seed sovereign. Let's put food on the table. Food can only fill the basket from the indigenous knowledge and from the science that is not dangerous. That is what can fill food on the table. Fertilizer, yes, is good, but it's so costly. Fertilizer is so costly, and it also degrades the soils in our communities. If you relate fertilizer and the herbicides, you relate it to climate change, it becomes a big disaster. Because when you apply fertilizer, you only apply two chemicals, there's sulfur and nitrogen. Those are the main chemicals which are in fertilizer. In those fertilizers, it's just a booster. It doesn't improve the soils. The more you add the cost. If you apply fertilizer this year, you apply next year, you'll be forced to add the cost of lime. And if you add more lime, you will be forced to add the cost of testing the soils, because the soils will become alkaline. Let's find sustainable ways of putting food on the table. Then, as rural women, we also advocate for women's land rights. In Africa, I think it has been a big problem. Women do not own land. The land is only owned by male people. It's either you are married, the husband owns land, you'll be there working. You know, women in Africa are the most productive people. They work on lands which are not theirs. Even if a husband dies, the one who takes charge is a son. If you don't have a son, it will be a male relative that will control that land. So it's a bit dangerous. That discourages investment in our land. Women are very productive, and small-scale farmers are the ones who feed the nations. Let's be seed sovereign. Let's own land as women. That is the main aim. Rural women is there. We exist to fight the rights of women. I've got a small slide which shows how sustainable some farming can be. Because these multi-corporates think it is only fertilizer and herbicide that can put food on the table. But I've got a slide that talks of sustainable methods. I think this is sustainable transformation of global food system. It may not be good enough because it's done by a small-scale farmer. Those are the topics: sustainable farming, common practices of farming, promotion, attitude towards sustainable farming, challenges, benefits. It's not supposed to be organic there, it's supposed to be sustainable. Because if you talk of organic in Zambia, you talk of wasted soils which have never been contaminated with chemicals. Then the conclusion. Yeah. The production system that sustains the health of soils, ecosystems, and people. Sustainable farming combines traditional innovation, science to benefit the shared environment and promote fair relationships. Here we are saying, yes, science is there, but we don't need science that will harm people. We need science that can sustain, that can put food on the table. Then, on the same science, we also need indigenous knowledge that will make fuel that bread basket. Agri employs at least half of the world's workforce, which makes it evidence that the economic sector will ever create many jobs as farming does. This is by far. I put that slide because nowadays, if you go in the villages or if you go in the farming communities, especially in Africa, you'll find that the youth are running away from us. They no longer feel to be, they no longer need to be future farmers because farming has become another thing. It's no longer profitable because it's so costly for you to produce. Then growth in agriculture production to meet rising global needs using prevailing farming practices is sustainable. Hence, transforming is needed. This is the common practices of sustainable farming. This is agroforestry, where you plant some species that will fix the nitrogen in the soil. That is my farm, and this is my friend's farm. Those are the trees we plant in the fields to fix nitrogen. We have so many species. There's the frosia, there's some green manure, leguminous, and also manure, animal manure. That is agroforestry. Another slide. I think there on top there was conservation farming. That is me at the corner there. You only till where you're supposed to plant using what we call a ripper to avoid the soil erosion. Then that is my home in the village. Those are local chicken. Is to rear, they fetch their own food. You can only supplement. And this is a field where that is intercropping there. This is a field of groundnuts. No chemical, no fertilizer was put in there, no one sprayed, they just grow and you can have better yields. Because the soils they've not been contaminated by the acids of fertilizer, neither the chemical, neither the herbicide. On that picture, the corner there, you can see there are some pumpkins, there's maize, there's okra in there. We also promote intercropping because if you use the herbicide, you're supposed to do the monocropping, just plant one type of crop, whatever is in there, be it amarathas, be it blackjack, will become a weed. But for us Africans, it's food. Majority of farmers are positive about sustainable farming practices implemented because they are similar to traditional ones. Conventional agriculture has proved to be very expensive on all those slides where there are crops, those are indigenous crops. Then, however, due to the fact of that same practice under, it's not supposed to be organic, it's supposed to be sustainable, take long to start yielding results compared to conventional ones. Some farmers have reservations about it. Next slide. Lack of skills and knowledge of sustain, those are the challenges, lack of skills and knowledge. Bushfires, which are either accidental or deliberate, returning of crop residues in the field for many farmers who operate in communal grazing areas. Yeah, because in the communities, animals can graze anyhow as long as there is no crop there. So we are supposed to retain the crop residues by sometimes rotation, sometimes by nitrogen fixing as usual. Land tenure farmers are reluctant to invest in sustainable farming due to unclear rights of the land. You know, where I come from, it's a customary land. We don't have any documents on that land, and most of the policies say what is on top is yours, what is beneath is ours. So they can grab that land any day. So some farmers are reluctant to invest on the land. Yeah. Benefits. There's less effort. Tilling of the soil is one of the biggest farming tasks. By not tilling, farmers can save between 30 to 40 of time and labor. You know, that practice which I showed you is very easy. If you want to till every land, you can till 70 by 70 even if you have strong animals. But if you are using that method, you can till 2 hectares. Less experienced farmers have money, but not spending on external inputs like fertilizer and herbicides. Yeah, on the expenses as usual. There I applied manure. I have some nitrogen fixing species. I also applied manure. This is more sustainable. The more you apply manure, the more the fertile the soils become. It is only the fertility that can produce any crop, whatever crop can be produced on a fertile soil. More stable farming situation creates more resilient land, able to withstand seasonal droughts and floods. If your land is so fertile, at least it can maintain the moisture despite the dry spells. More money, sustainable farming improves soil productivity. As a result, farmers can dramatically increase their yield. Once we increase the yield, even the income increases. This is my achievement. My life has seriously improved due to increased yields. I never thought of harvesting so much, despite the dry spells being experienced in my country. I was supposed to put a picture there, but this technology, the picture, yeah. That is just a trend, rural poverty, hunger, low incomes, poor yields. This is the trend we are having now. The rural poverty, then poor crop yields. This is triggered by the current global situation that talks of how to put food on the table. People will remain poor because the current system of farming is very expensive. Farmers can't afford. So this will be triggered by a few multinationals that have a hidden agenda of making profits out of the situation. This is now Mary Sakala on a farm. That pumpkin you are seeing is a recycled seed, indigenous seed. And that crop in there is the seed that I had reserved for next season. I'll make it so that we can see. Such a pumpkin can only be produced in a very fertile land and not fertilized. Just fertility can do anything. Thank you.
So I would like to give this a context that is a little more globalized. And I want to point out the difference between food security and food sovereignty, because both concepts are used. And food security is very often argumented for because people say, well, we are getting more people in the world, we need more food, and we must use these technologies to feed everybody in a growing population. And I would say that this is not true, because today we have, I think we have more than 1 billion persons that sometimes go hungry, but we have enough food in the world. The corn, the food we give to the American pigs are enough to feed the world. We will never solve these problems only by technology and producing more food, because there is a question about distribution. And if we have a world that is very unequal, the food will never reach to the poor people or to the starving people. And that is one reason that we have to have a new technology that is food sovereignty, where that is sustainable and that build on the work of the local farmers. We need land reform. They must have their own land, their own local seeds. I wanted to look at these figures. This food security, you know, the main production system for food is a free trade neoliberal system that use land grabbing, they use GMOs, they use monopoly, and I will talk more about this, and they use patent to get hold of, to get power over the food production in the world. They use 70% of the resources in agriculture, but they give, the results is only 30% of the food production, while the opposite is true of the food sovereignty production system. They use very little resources, but they produce very much food. Naturally so, since they put a lot of labor into the process. This labor is not counted on this side. In this side, very, very few persons are hired. People get out of jobs, and so they are forced to move into the big cities, where they have nothing to live on. They don't get any jobs there. There will only be very poor areas around the big cities, and this is happening all around the world. If you look at certain areas in the United States today, you almost don't find a farmer, because the production system has changed to these big industrial systems. And I read the book about Saffron Fire, you know, about eating animals. And you can see that almost no farmers are working in those factories. They can't stand the conditions for the animals in them. So farmers are out of jobs in the United States. The production is growing. But the money that you earn on this kind of production are export money that go to very few people. So what happens here is that rich get richer, poor gets poorer. multinational corporations, or I would like to summarize it. And this is not only in Zambia, this is not only in Africa.
Louder, please. Louder, please.
I can try. You can read the words. Problems are land grabbing. This is often done in cooperation with states. It is a kind of private-state partnership, it is called. Okay. Better now? Okay. And this means that a lot of land is taken away from local farmers and giving to big multinational corporations. They use GMO seeds, they're genetically modified organisms. And friends, they have the science making changes in seeds. They can make all kinds of nice changes if they wanted to. They can make seeds, sustainable to drought or something. But what do? They make them sterile. This is in nobody's interest, but the multinational corporations' interest. Because when they can't buy the land, they instead sell this system to local farmers. And then they make the seeds sterile so that the farmers can't save the seeds. They have to buy them anew every year. In the beginning, even if they have to pay for seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, to make it grow, they get a good crop. But after some years, the land is not so good anymore, and they get trouble. In India, you can see that then the big companies goes in and buy the land very cheap from the farmers, and there has been many Indian farmers committing suicide because they can't keep the land of their forefathers. And in this way, the big corporations keep a monopoly over the seeds. They also do this by taking patent on seeds, which is very, very. It is so absurd. Seeds has been developed in thousands of years by local populations in different countries in the past. And now, according to United States patent laws, they patent the seeds so they can only be sown. And the farmers are forbidden to use them. They also destroy the land over a long period of time. I want to tell you that one of the organizations for small farmers is called Via Campesina, and they have a movement in Latin America called MST, Movimento of Landless Farmers. They have big schools, farming schools all over Latin America, and they are producing their own seeds. And when now the woman president, she was accused of things, and her ruling partner were taking over in a kind of half dictatorship in Brazil. They have gone in with policemen into these farming schools to stop them from producing seeds. And I want to show you a very small, it is only 1.5 minutes, but you can sit and cry here for 1.5 minutes. I did. It is from Colombia, where Colombian farmers keep their seeds from year to year. They trade them, they can sell them. Now they are forbidden. You can go in there on number 6, I think it is there. You can see how the police is broken into the barns of the farmers, taking out their seeds that they were going to use for the next season. And they use them as filling in a road construction. You look at this.
While some of the food being dumped in the trash in Colombia, one of the demands the United States made was to create a law that forced Colombian farmers to only plant certified seeds. The Colombian government accepted the demand and immediately the Colombian Institute of Agriculture, ICA, issued a resolution called 970, which condemns all farmers that plant uncertified seeds and forbids an ancestral farming practice, saving part of their harvest, the best part, to use it once more as seeds for the next one. Obama's promise came true. Most certified seeds are from American capital. The Campo Alegre farmers and those in the rest of the country are now forced to buy their products.
This is happening so fast and people know so little about it. And what is really worrying is that these new trade issues that are on stake, you know, in the TTIP and things like that, these questions are all often a part of the trading associations and trading rules. And the question is, what does countries have to promise to be a part of these trading communities? This is one of the very important questions. I think that we must really know what is happening, learn very much about it. Questions?
How much land is taken up by these multinational corporations? Just as Colombia, or how much of South America, for instance?
The question is how much land is taken up by the multi-corporate industries. And I don't have any exact figures on that, but I know that so much land is today grabbed. It isn't really grabbed, you know, they don't come in with militaries. They have stopped that kind of working. They are now making these private state partnerships. So they kind of pressure the state to get along with these new trading rules. That is how they do it. But the big corporations take enormous amounts of land in all over the world. They began very much in Latin America, you know. Also, I think because some land was not used there, so that they could, and then they took land that was used. And today, it is many big areas of land that is used in Africa by multi-corporate associations or corporations.
It would be interesting to see a map over the world, where the areas are.
We need all kinds of knowledge like that, you know. We need that we go home and make those maps and really find out what this is. We are kind of overwhelmed how far this has gone until we understand that it is going on. But I promise it is very, very much. And it is often the best land. And it is often not so good when they have used it for 5 or 10 years. And it is that land.
It's a very strange way of thinking of the multinational corporations to go about this way, because it's just a short time treasure. They don't have any more.
But I think these neoliberal economic systems are short-sighted. They don't have any reason to think in a long-term perspective. They only need to think in a very short-term perspective and make much profit out of it. Also put questions to our
I have one question.
Thank you. My question is, the people that genetically modified the seeds, are they capable of also sterilizing the seeds so that the farmers cannot reuse them?
Sure. It is a scientific method.
So that way that way they're capable of destroying the economy of the country, so to speak.
Yeah. Sure. Especially if they have a monopoly for those seeds. They could also use it, as a kind of war method or something.
Yeah,
use it for anything.
to increase the debt that the country has towards the companies.
But they wouldn't do that as long as they earn money on it.
Yeah, true. Okay, thank you.
GMOs are one of the worst seeds so far. GMOs are one of the worst seeds so far. Here in Europe, you use them to feed their animals. But the weakness that we have in Africa, the same GMO feeds people. Because corn is one of the staple food we have. Then the same GMO can't be recycled. You can't plant it twice. It doesn't do well. It also contaminates the other crops which are grown nearby. So it's one of the waste seeds that one can plant. It attracts again some insects, aphids. It's so weak. It needs chemicals. And for you to produce one of the GMOs, some of the GMOs are heavy feeders. When you plant them, they feed a lot on the soils, degrading the soils. So it's one of the worst things that these scientists have done for Africa especially.
Thank you very much. I want to watch the documentary. From an economist perspective, I would like to know the economic effects of taking such a drastic action to destroy the seeds.
They are so strong. They have so much power. They have so good economy. I can't understand what they do. I can't understand. And I think they can do the same thing here. But they don't dare to do it here. Because here we have a better organization, we would be able to protest. It would be dangerous for the sustainability of the cooperation or of the laws and things. We could change laws or something. But there people are rather powerless, so there they can do it. But why do they do it? It can't threaten them so much that some local farmers use their own seeds. It shows their aggressiveness. What more can they do? I don't know why. Do you want to comment?
As a person working in the field, you are in the situation, what would you ask for to be done or to help?
The answer is simple. We want to be food sovereign. The food is some of the food goes according to the culture. It can be an identity. It's our pride. We don't want to be forced to eat a certain type of food just because we are hungry. I'll tell you an example, give you an example of Zambia. When you go to Zambia, we have subsidy. Not supposed to say that because I'm representing the whole Southern, but it's just like a case study. We have what we call subsidy. The subsidies are given to farmers. You pay 400, they top up with 700. And what you're supposed to get out of that subsidy is maize. Maize is the main crop that you find in the shops. maize, fertilizer, and chemicals, and nothing else, unless if you want to get a vegetable, that is the change out of it. And when they come up with the statistics of bumper harvest, they will talk of maize and nothing else. But I show you groundnuts there that can feed on just fertile soils minus adding fertilizer and chemicals. We have finger millet, it's also a cereal, it doesn't need fertilizer, neither chemicals. We also have sorghum that can even do well, even in acidic soils. So it's a challenge, What we want is to be food sovereign. Whatever is eaten by people is food. You can't zero in hunger by putting lots of billions in other people's hands. No, these multinationals, they talk about a good story of their seed, but they don't talk about the negative part. So we want to have that right. If they talk of zeroing hunger, what are they saying? Because there's lots of seeds in the communities. We want to be food, seed sovereign, so that we use the seed that we have. Hope I've answered.
I have another question. I'm also growing home, not as much as you, but still. And I'm trying to make compost. Is that the English name?
Yes.
Huh? Yeah. And I wonder, are you also using this way to make new soil by composting?
Okay. Compost manure can be made in a different way. You have to pay me, because that's consultancy. It can be made in different ways. You can get leaves in the bush, you can get other residues, then decompose. But what we usually do on the farm, because we have a diverse enterprises, we have small livestock, as I was showing you, some chicken, we have goats, we have animals. We advise some farmers to build structures, the sheds for some cattle. Then if you have only 5 animals, we advise farmers to multiply manure by putting some other residues in the crop, because when you put it like a bedding, within 2 weeks you find that those residues mixed with the real manure, then you decompose for a few days, then add in the field. Because a 1 rim is supposed to have 4 ox carts of manure, so we advise that. But you can as well decompose the same manure from your crop, but it will be slow for you to, yeah. But it's very good. You can plant anything. Try it. Even the corn, if you are after the corn, it will be very sweet. Potatoes will be as big as, not these big potatoes which are GMOs. No, they are bigger than our heads. No, they are not huge.
Madame Sakala, Mama Mary Sakala. Yeah, you were talking about land rights, and it is quite a bleak picture. But I think I would like to have your comment. How is the development in favor of women to have the right to land? Generally for the region, but in particular for Zambia. Because I think in Zambia, by constitution or land law, there should be equal right to land for the man and women.
I think you are right. That's why we are campaigning as women, so that we also own land. It has been tricky all these days, all this time, because if you are married and the spouse dies, definitely anything can happen. You are sent back home, you go back home, your brother will say, this is my land, you don't own land, where do you go? So it has been tricky. We are still advocating on the same. The gender work says it's 50-50, equality of land sharing. That's where we want to be.
But if you have the title, land title,
customary land usually doesn't have a title. we are advocating for some small certificates, though those certificates can be dangerous if you use them as collateral at banks. The land grabs can be a trigger. But we are trying to do that. That's what we are trying to do.
I don't understand how we can do it.
If you are given a certificate for your land, we are saying that land should read Mr. Sakala. Mr. if it is Richard Sakala and Mary Sakala. Because if it remains Mr. and Mrs., anyone can be Mrs. any day. So we want it to read that way, so that it protects our land and the boundaries. But there's that other aspect of using that same certificate as collateral to get finances at the bank. That part can also be dangerous. So we are trying to look at a favorable way of protecting the customary land.
My name is Michael Songani. I'm a son of a farmer. I just want to contribute to what the last questions that our guest asked. I think that there's a conflicting concept. The legislations are there, but the conflicting concept comes in which is a tradition, which you cannot look your brother as a woman in the eye and tell him, I have the right to this land. So that's the big problem. How do we sensitize? How do we go into a family and make them understand that this law exists and explain to them that traditionally we respect your tradition, but you need to give independence to the woman to own the land. I think that's one point. As a son of a farmer who grew up in farming, supporting Madam's approach and experience, I respect that a lot. Contributing to the seeds and how you save good seeds. I think it's a very good approach. What I want to understand from Madam is what is the local government which applies these laws in the region of farming. How active are they?
I don't know if I'm going to answer that in a correct way, but for the plant breeders' rights, these which are under ARIPO, they are very strict on seeds, though they haven't yet started putting people behind bars or those who are doing the recycling of seeds. There's a company called Senjeta, which has come. It has tried to buy all these small companies so that all those companies are under the same. And that's where I'm seeing the threat now, because it is doing things so fast. And it's like our government have misinformation, or they are not aware of what is going to happen in the near future. That's why we are there to advocate for seed sovereignty. I've talked about it several times, but we haven't seen any reaction. But those companies are coming fast, and they are trying to harmonize their seed system so that they are able to trade anywhere. And we as farmers are below those people. But it has come as a risk to us, because we will be dependent on them. Hope I've answered.
Yeah.
Thank you all for coming, and we will be here for a few minutes if there are any further questions.
Jag vill tacka för föredragshållarna, men först lite tips om hur ni kan hjälpa till. Ni kan köpa frökort, och då går pengarna till att stödja bönder i södra Afrika. Vackra kort, och man kan plantera dem och så blir det växter. Man kan plantera